watching the 2019 Flow Bowling Bear Open, or the Flow Bowling Summer Swing Bear Open. It was myself against EJ Tackett. This had been a pretty good week for me here. This was event number 2, and this was event number 2 that week that I was bowling in the title match, losing to Sean Rash just 2 days prior in his home center. Never fun to lose, but it was pretty cool to have someone get a victory at their home bowling center.
Either one of these guys, they are more of ball in hand type players when it comes down to wanting to win a championship. So definitely down.
In this pattern throughout the week, I had been giving them what I like to call the high hard one.
Yeah, I would call both these guys
just basically throwing rockets, trying to get my hand going forward. That particular shot, a little slow. There was EJ bowled some shots at practice on there as well, so that you never really know where the first one, or what the first one's exactly going to do. Fortunate enough to get the 9-pin out of there and not be shooting out a split to start the game.
See on your right, he wants it to get just around that last tracer going down the lane. EJ got 8 shots of practice in there, got the lane to break down just a little bit, and lo and behold, look what we have here. That's not the new ball. He's going with a Jackal Ghost.
So that's a couple miles.
EJ's kind of going with a little bit of different lane play attack than he had been using throughout at least the Cashers round prior to the step ladder. He had been probably 10 or 15 boards further left, much softer ball speed, much more of a banana kind of ball motion shape. Here he's kind of moved back to the right a little bit, getting his hand going pretty far forward. And I believe the reason for that for both of us, I had all the intentions of hooking it whenever I went onto the stepladder pair. But Jason used urethane, so that kind of created a little bit of hold, and I felt like there was a little bit of a hook spot, right around 6-7. If you could get your ball into it in the right place, would never miss it. And then being that the urethane was used a little further left, I felt like it gave me hold.
And he's done exactly what he needs to do to have a chance against Anthony Simonsen.
Now I'm using 2 different balls, same ball, fairly close layouts. One, the pin's just a little bit taller than the other, and I've also brought the surface up to about 3,000, and then it's got a little bit of lane shine on it. And I felt like, I believe that it was the right lane. Just felt a little bit tighter overall. So I used the newer idle on that lane, and then I used one that's a little bit older on the left lane. Just made just a very small move on that shot there, and really just made sure I kept it firm and kept my hand up under it.
There we go. There was somebody down that left side of the lane that was checking out their cell phone, and apparently some flashes from that cell phone were catching Simonsen. Stay perfect through 3.
And after that shot, that was a little bit further right than his previous 2 shots. When that one made it back off the corner, I had a feeling we were going to have a pretty high-scoring match. Being I just bowled 270 the game before against Kyle Sherman. Kyle put together a couple of good games as well. And that shot just looked a little right, and there was no hesitation of it making it back. So that one I knew we needed to get ready for some strikes.
Just ran the 8-pin over.
Front 4. And one thing that's important to EJ, he's never won a title twice in the same building in his career, and he really wants to do it here at Parkside Lanes, because he did the Parkside Lanes Extra Frame Open Championship last year, and he wants that Champions Dinner here once again at the end of this event.
That was
You need 250 to win. Predictions coming.
really good shot. The ball's
Right now.
coming off my hand the right way. It feels like it's going exactly where I want it to. You know, it's still knowing this is going to be a high-scoring match. Not going to get too far carried away, and I'm also still down in the match. So it's really just make sure you keep putting strikes on the board and not let EJ pull away from me.
That's why I saw there in the left lane last time. See if he does it again.
That was that lane. Even in just previous events, had a little bit of trouble getting the corners out. That was one of those shots I thought was going to ring 10. You know, fortunately enough, it didn't, which is very huge. It keeps me, you know, only 10 down in the match instead of 31.
Tournament of Champions at AMF Riviera in Fairlawn, Ohio, where Belmonte took out Tackett in the championship match. Get there, no.
That one just kind of looked like it was see him making a little hand movement. He might have spun it just a little bit or just missed it at the bottom. It just quite didn't see the lane as early. I think ball speed was fine. Just wasn't his best executed shot at the bottom of the swing.
He switched from 16 down to 15. Had to make a couple of adjustments and went through a little 3 or 4 month period where he didn't.
Now as that happens, I'm thinking to myself, I don't really know how many more times EJ's going to do that. Being as well as his ball looked going through the pins the first 4 shots. But now I know I can step up and take the lead no matter what he does. So I'm really just trying to mentally prepare myself to get up and keep making good shots.
But he's yet to take a title out of a conventional PBA format event here in 2019.
As you see that one, we like to say he got all of it. You know, just kind of almost looks like he's making up for the last shot, not quite catching it all at the bottom. But you know, when you see your opponent's ball going through the pins like that, you know that you're going to have to keep striking because at any given moment, a miss could put you, you know, too far behind with only a few frames left.
You know, 10, 15, 20 years old. Some of the newer synthetic surfaces actually have a little texture to them. Loft is becoming a big tool again out here on the PBA Tour.
Needs to push, and it does.
I'm kind of starting to see my ball get a pinch lazy down the lane. And I just, honestly, I think that's adrenaline. So it's getting just a little too far down. I believe I normally don't make half-board moves. They're normally 2 or 3 or 4. But just make a little small move back to the right. I know that there's a little bit of urethane left of me, so I'll have some hold if it gets into that zone. But moving just a little bit further right should get it to see the lane a touch faster.
That 6-pin just did absolutely nothing.
So that would be my guess is I didn't move on that shot. It'll be the next shot that I move. You know, just didn't quite fully catch it. I was a little hesitant with it at the bottom. And like I said, that lane had been one I'd kind of struggled to get the corners out.
At least 2 more days till we know the Illinois Open results. EJ Tackett get himself in the second.
After making the spare, I didn't really have high hopes for the next few frames, as I felt EJ was going to keep on striking. You know, I just had to tell myself that my ball reaction's still really good. And I've only missed the pocket 1 time over the last game and a half, and that we're just going to have to regroup and put some numbers on the board and see where it takes us.
Now we've seen a few pin-up balls for people, but EJ using a pin under the fingers on this ball. He's making it work nicely.
And I think EJ kind of felt the same way. He felt, you know, once I missed, or prior to me missing, that he was going to have them all to stay in this match. And after the miss, he knows he can step up and take the lead right back with the next 2 shots.
Will also be a little smoother off the break point as we use his rev rate and not have to open up the angle so far.
that gutsy call he made after using a different ball for 20 games in this event prior to his step-ladder finals, paying off to this point, and continues to pay off in the 8th frame.
Another really good shot by EJ. You know, that's got to be really huge for him mentally, knowing that no matter what I do in the 10th frame, or in the 8th and the 9th frame, that he can step up and make my 10th frame irrelevant and shut me out.
Man, the ball just runs the 8-pin over.
I can see
Back up by 10.
Tackett's fiance, Natalie Goodman, in the crowd trying to get up on her toes every time in the shot when it's hitting the pins. Shrapnel.
That's probably the furthest right he's gotten any shot there.
So asking for a re-rack here, just so I can,
Really in danger of going light.
one, make sure we got a good spot on the pins, as this is really a must-strike situation for me here. You know, assuming that EJ's only missed once in 8 frames, he's probably going to at least put another strike on the board and get into the 240s. So in my eyes, if I don't strike here, my tournament is over.
Down by 10. Chance to
Make
pull
sure
it.
the mental process is still the same as it has been. Taking a couple deep breaths. You know, visualizing what I want the ball to do.
Otherwise, the all Tackett. He was off balance.
And that one, I
Got it to hold.
a little surprised that I did move right on that shot,
Long enough.
and
That was a little inside of target.
for some reason I like to move right then miss left.
That one
So it was a little miss up the lane, but it was a little firm. And like I said, getting into the urethane and the hand being in a good spot
Here in a row or the other.
allowed it to not go crazy
They've taken
down the
that
lane.
level up another notch here tonight in this championship match.
Tell how hard he's trying to throw that. He's up on his toes after he throws it. EJ selling in here. Strike to take back the lead.
So no matter what happens here, I'm preparing to have to get up in the 10th frame
And EJ was a little
and throw all 3 in the 10th.
as well.
You know, with EJ throwing shots like that, it makes you think that you know, you're not gonna get a shot. He struck 8 out of 9 shots this game, and they've all basically gone through the pins just like that. So it makes you think that if he gets it to the pocket over these next 2 balls, needing a double and 1 pin to shut me out, that they're probably going to strike. At this point on this lane, it looks like he's starting to do a couple little tricks. He's kind of flicking it, pinching it over the front a little bit, flicking a little bit more with his wrist to kind of help keep it on line.
Down.
You can see there's just a little bit of loft, a little bit of the hand rotation, and you know, he's rotating his hand to be able to get to come off the spot, and using a little bit of the loft to, you know, to help keep the ball on line. Very big shot here. You know, strike is a winner. 9 spare forces me to step up and throw all 3 in the 10th. Him getting the first one was very big. It now forces me to at least get the first one. And this shot,
No roll on the 2.
not necessarily sure. It was a little firm, but you could see him kind of make the little elbow flick there. Looked like he got it just a little bit further out onto the lane, as well as the rotation of the hand, and just got the ball a little too far down the lane. And you can, when you start getting you know, 2 or 3 tricks going, it's easy for one of them to slip up. And here, just I just honestly think a lack of focus. You know, really worried about, you know, leaving the 2 pin in the first place, knowing that he could have stepped up and shut me out, and then missing it. Now, double in 9 to win. My process is still the same. It's, you know, keep making good shots. I know I've got a great ball reaction on the pair.
1-9 for the win.
And that was about as close to no doubter for me as possible. I
Absolutely super
really got off the hand and
shot making
now I'm just making sure keep everything the same tempo, same mindset. You know, just keep making good shots, and just keep in mind that there's no rush. There's as much time as I want to take. You know, my tournament's right here in this shot. You know, it's basically striking to stay alive.
Checking the sole, checking the heel, and online.
Another really good shot in that situation. That's honestly what the years and years of practice have led up to, is being able to step up in moments like this. And obviously there's still pressure. If you weren't feeling pressure, then you know we probably shouldn't be doing this. But you know, to make it as least nerve-wracking as possible. So here, you know, nine's a winner. Only got less than 9 one time. This whole event, and that's not what's going through my head. It's, you know, just make another good shot.
There's another title on the line here at the Flow Bowling Summer Swing. Let's take care of this first title first. That's
A little up the lane. Very, very fortunate break there. For a split second, I thought that was 7 and a loser. And then knocked a 6-pin out, and as the 10-pin was wild, I'm like, well, I at least have a roll-off. I'm like, is the 10-pin really going to fall and let me, you know, I wouldn't say steal a title, because, you know, we both bowled very phenomenal games, as well as, you know, me having a really good look on that pair before. But I almost felt like I gift-wrapped one, being that I feel in EJ's eyes after he missed there, you know, you just have to assume that the player you're bowling against is going to step up and throw all 3. You know, now, once we got 8, instantly it's like, okay, it's done, it's over with. The roll-off is coming very quickly, so let's get a little water in the system, slow the heart rate down, and you know, mentally just prepare to, you know, essentially keep striking for a while. As you know, if you go off of the way our game had just happened, there's a lot of strikes for both of us. So you assume we were gonna keep firing away in there for a while.
You get lucky and he just leaves a little shaker 10.
EJ, good choice making me finish or go back to the lane I just missed on. Yes, I did throw, you know, 2 really good shots to get me there. However, that's the last memory I'm in my mind from that lane is just the bad shot I just threw. So it's definitely a very wise choice for EJ. You can definitely tell the guy's been out on tour, and there are some little things like that you have to pay attention to when you're bowling match play. You know, strike to stay alive. Just make sure you make another good shot and see what happens. See, happy to strike there, but there's some slight irritation in my face, being that it hadn't been too difficult to get at least 9 for the 2 games I'd bowled. Just really just a bad shot. Hand got a little fast over the top of it. Didn't quite keep it on line as long as it should have. Yeah, so now we're on to the next frame. EJ 2-pinned his last ball here, and you know, the natural body whenever we 2-pin or miss a little right is to, you know, throw it a little slower and make sure we catch it. That one, I don't think that he threw it any slower. It just looked like, you know, he got it into the lane in the right place, and it just, you know, a really good shot overall. Just hooked a little bit more than he expected. I don't think he thought that was a bad shot by any means. Here, you know, it's back almost in the same situation. Strike to win. You know, 9's a tie, 8's a loser. I definitely didn't want to go high, so this one had a little bit of heat coming behind it. Was fortunate enough to mix them up. You know, I think that was probably the ugliest strike of the entire 2 matches, but that was definitely one of my better overall championship performances. You know, bowling 270, 260 on the show, and just really kind of riding the wave that I had that week, leading on Wolf, finishing second, qualifying second, and you know, being able to secure the title and almost make up for not winning the one 2 days ago.